Hey guys, welcome to today's presentation where I'm going to be teaching you how to use a new versatile tool that I have been using for my scalping and intraday trading. Now, the way that this tool works is it provides me level 2 data and exactly where the support and resistance level is going to be on some of those shorter time frames. The name of the tool is called Bookmap. So I am going to teach you exactly what it is that you need to look for, what your reference points are, and where you need to put your stop losses in order for you guys to better utilize the tools that now we're streaming here at High Strike. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and by the end of the video, if this is something that you find worthwhile and that has provided value for you, we're throwing you guys an entire week full access pass to everything we offer here in the Discord. We'll see you guys here on the other side. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sage. I've been trading, I keep on saying 10 years, but it's actually been over 10 years. It's now 12 years. So I've been trading here for a little while. I do have a little bit of a larger account, but some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about here today, I'm actually late to the curve. So there's a lot of new information here that I wasn't really using and I should have been using, especially during like COVID. So Bookmap has been around for a while. It is a very technical program, right? You have the actual app itself, and then you also have to pay for the subscription for data, right? So when we go onto the Bookmap website, you guys might be doing that as you're listening to me here today. When you go onto the website, you will see that they have a subscription model, right? The global and then global plus. That is for just the application, and then you actually have to pay for the data. So this is going to be a really insightful tool for you guys to look at order flow, but not from options, specifically surrounding futures and a couple stocks as well. So the stocks that I believe, and this is just off the top of my head, I believe they're looking at Apple, Microsoft, Amazon is another. Tesla, I believe, is part of that list as well. And I believe there's Amazon is one, and I think Apple is part of that list as well. I'm only going to be covering ES and NQ. So those are going to be the equivalent of SPY and QQQ for futures. So we are futures traders. I am a commodities trader, but I also am trading indexes like crazy, like crazy. So before I started recording here, I was just talking to one of you guys about the move that we had up here on the market. I caught the move, right? Now, I want to be clear for those of you that are in the Discord. I don't want you guys to say, "Hey, Sage is saying that he's, killing it in the last week." I have not been doing too well the last week, but for my Bookmap trade, specifically for scalping, this has been this has been a game changer. It really, really has. And I'm going to explain as to why it has been a game changer because it gives you insight into information and it gives you a little bit more depth of knowledge of what certain criteria you need in order for you to take a position. For example, I did take a long today. You guys are going to see. So Q's jumped 3.2%, right? So we had a rally because of AMD earnings, which was great. We're rallying right now because of Meta earnings, which I did take as well. It looks like I'm going to be winning on that trade. But this tool, I want all of you need to understand this tool is not going to be the thing. It's not going to be the button. It's not going to be the automation factor that convinces you or pushes you over the edge. There's no such thing as that kind of tool. All it is just another layer. It's going to be another layer of confirmation for you to take a position, hold on to a position, or even enter the position. So I'm not using the tool by itself. I do like to use something called Voodoo Lines. So we offer both of these, right? I'm streaming this throughout the day. When I'm looking to take a particular position, I think we can all agree when you take a position, not all of us are always taking, I would say, the most appropriate position, especially when you're looking at the stock chart. I'm not even going through the slides and I'm already getting through the meat and potatoes here. But what Bookmap is going to offer when you're looking at trades, this is how I like to think about it because everything I do is thinking about how institutions take positions. I don't really care about what the retail traders are doing because more often than not, retail traders are not moving the needle on the market. So what Bookmap provides us, it gives us insight into level 2 data, especially data that can potentially move the needle here. So sometimes when we're looking at charts, especially when we're learning technical analysis, we're learning cup and handles, double bottoms, all this stuff, right? A lot of us are not including the volume profile. What is the volume profile? It tells us where the largest amount of shares were traded at a particular level. That's important. What does Bookmap show you? Bookmap is going to show you real time where those orders are sitting. So if you know that there is a huge order, and some of you are already using level 2 on TOS, right? But it's once that order gets filled, you have no indication of where that order is sitting. It is literally fluttering through that bar chart there off to the left-hand or right-hand side. After the order's filled, it's gone. Bookmap provides you a visual of where those orders can be sitting. So it's going to provide you where liquidity can be sitting or where a potential entry can be, and if you want to hold on to the trade or not. How many times are we putting on a position and then we're holding on to it and we take it off the next 5 seconds because we think it's going to go in the opposite direction? And we're so burnt out by these trades that we've been taking. Some of us are taking 25 trades in a day because we don't know, we don't have a dominion over what the position is going to do, if it's going to trade up, if it's going to be shorted, so on and so forth. So there's an element to this. If you have good risk parameters and you're setting your stop losses accordingly, Bookmap is going to take this to the next level. It's going to say, hey, there's some water sitting here, excuse me, or there's some resistance here at the top. So if I see some resistance, if the heat map is saying, hey, I don't think that this is an area that we can push above, you might want to take off that position. Now, the inverse to that, if I'm looking to take a long position, especially after a reversal from the first 30 minutes of the day, right? Let's just say we're looking for price action just to find an overall range. Wouldn't it be beneficial to know where some of the larger orders are sitting in? Yeah, it's something to think about. It's definitely something to think about. So I have not been trading this way for the last 10 years. I've been using this for, I would say, about 6 to 7 weeks realistically. I have pushed for this tool because I think that this is really, really insightful, especially if you're a trader that is looking to trade off the 5 and the 10-minute time frame. That was my opener. Okay, so now let's go into the slides. Today is not going to be a long presentation. There is so much that Bookmap offers. There really is. So we can spend 4 or 5 hours about talking about all the tools here. I don't want that. I don't want you guys to sit here for 4 hours and then talk about all the little technicalities that exist within the platform. You can automate it. You can trade directly from Bookmap. There's a whole bunch of different things. But today I want you to get the broad view of what it is that we're looking at here. And today is an awesome, literally probably the best day that we can possibly look at the chart that I have here. Right, I have the data for today. It's the best day possible because you literally see where the orders were filled and you're not really seeing a lot of resistance. Okay. All right. So let's jump in. Let's go through some of the slides. And at the end of the presentation, as I always do, I always stick around. I'm always very glad to answer your guys' question. If you have any questions about me, about our program, about what we do, a little bit more about Bookmap, or a little bit more about some of the other indicators that I'm going to show you guys, just let me know. Okay. Just let me know. Okay. It's only 11 slides. This is what we're going to be talking about. I just did the introduction. We're going to talk about the basics of the tool. Why even use Bookmap, right? So I think about this a lot. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of information. All I care about, literally all I care about, and I watch dark pools quite a bit too. I want to know where the institutions are taking trades. And of course, it's a little bit easier to do that on the 4 hour and the daily time frame. Today, we kind of saw a lot of buying, right? There was a lot of buying in the market. Talk about semiconductors, talk about SOXL, talk about QQQ. There's obviously a lot of buying. A lot of you, especially in the comment section for our Discord, were saying, wow, I think that this is the reversal. This is the bottom. Why do you think that is? Well, if you knew where institutions were putting those orders, you would probably put your orders at the same level, wouldn't you think? Right? I definitely would. So we're also going to talk about how it works because when you guys first look at it, especially if you guys have never seen it before, a lot of you are going to be like, wow, that looks pretty funky to me. I'll explain it in great detail, and then you guys will get it after this 30, 40-minute presentation. I can promise you that you will have a 70% to 80% understanding of what it is that you're looking at. We're going to look at commonly used indicators. So remember what I said. This is not the end-all be-all indicator. It doesn't exist. But also, if you're just using price action, price action is king. How many times have you heard that? Price action itself isn't enough, or it's not indicative enough for you to be taking positions on your own, right? It's kind of like driving, just maybe with one eye closed and then the other one kind of squinting, right? You only get a picture of the story. Wouldn't it be beneficial? I think about it like this. If you knew where the orders were sitting, there is such a thing called fishing in the stock market where, institutions are setting orders at a particular level and just before it hits, they pull it off just so they can provide a liquidity pool. That's actually illegal, but it does happen. With Bookmap, it just gives you a little bit clearer sense of where those orders can be sitting. Y'all, the majority of you know that I am a flow trader. So if I see flow, if I see long orders, this is how I depicted AMD for earnings. AMD was sitting at 135. I looked at the order book and I said, well, doesn't really look like there's a lot of short positions there. I think I want to do a long. I took a long and jumped 10%. I have a knack for earnings because I like to read order flow quite a bit. So this is no different. It's just a matter of reading the order flow, but just a little bit of a different parameter. So think about it, guys, right? Even before I start talking about some of the technicals here, if you know where the orders are sitting, if they're passive orders in the market, right, and they're sitting at a particular level, rather than you looking at the chart, and literally the chart is an open ocean, and you saying, hey, this is my support on the 1 minute to 5 minute time frame, and I'm going to take this trade just because I think that there's buyers here, or I think that there's sellers here, you're going to lose out more 9 times out of 10, right? We all experience this. I went through this, I mean, a lot my first 2 years in trading. I want to know where the larger orders are. That's all I care about. If you knew where those orders are, imagine this. Just think about this. If you knew where the majority of the institutions were setting their orders for buys on Apple, Microsoft, would you care what it does in the 30-minute time frame? No, you wouldn't care. If you knew that there were large institutional orders sitting down on Microsoft at $380, all you got to do is wait, and then you put all your money on the position, and then you just give it a little bit of time. That's the magnitude of what we're talking here, right? It's not always going to be 100% a gamut where you're going to hit it. No, absolutely not. But it provides you a little bit more insight. Just like I was saying before I started recording here, it gives you a little bit more insight on where those orders can be, where that resistance can be, where that support can be. And it gives you that visual representation. So we'll talk about some other commonly used indicators. Support and resistance is a big part of this, supply and demand. And then we'll talk about improving the strategy. I'll talk about how I improved my strategy, okay? Because a lot of you do not trade like me. I've gained enough experience doing this where I know for a fact that maybe about 80% of you are doing it a little bit differently than me. And I've made peace with this. I've made peace with the fact that there is more than one way to run a business, successful businesses, right? How many semiconductor businesses exist in the stock market? They're all relatively doing similar things. They're in this, same space, and they're all, they're trying to make money. It's the same thing with traders. We all have a fingerprint. We're all going to do things just slightly different. All it comes down to is how you interpret the data, which you'll see here in a second, and how you're going to trigger the entry point. That's all that matters. Now, if you have the right risk parameters and you're setting your stop losses accordingly, trading doesn't become that difficult. It really, really doesn't. I know that's kind of weird for some of you to hear. You're like, damn, this is the hardest thing in the world, man. I've been doing this for 5 years and I still haven't made a dollar. I get that. I get that. But you get that system, you get some of the stuff that I'm talking about here. Boom, man, it starts to make a little bit more sense. When I bought the Voodoo lines, some of you know I made $12,000 off of the Voodoo lines my first week. This took me a little bit more time because I'm still learning how to trust the tool. So let's get into what the tool is all about. So order flow and entry criteria. I talked a little bit about this, and you guys are going to see here in the tool. Order flow is just where the orders are sitting. So there's an order book, similarly to what you guys see there on TOS. So that order book is going to tell you, hey, there's 500 orders that are sitting at this particular level, or there's 600 orders sitting at this particular level. Actually, let's do this. This is going to be really interesting to introduce right now. Let me go get my chart. And let's just look at ES, right? How would we traditionally do this? So I'm going to pull up the ES chart, and most of you, what would you guys say? Are you trading about the 5 minute to 15 minute time frame? A couple people just throw up here in the chat. What time frame are you usually using to scalp? Give me a sense of what that is, guys. Give me a sense, guys. The 5 minute, 5 minute, 15. Okay, we'll do a happy medium here. We'll do the 15 minute time frame so we can get a little bit of a better story. Okay. So I actually did catch this trade. I caught this on NQ. But what am I doing? Most of you are setting lines like this, right? So you're going into the larger time frame. This is how I think most of you should be doing this. You're going into the 1 hour time frame and you're looking at this, right? You can't see me pointing at my chart. I have 6 of them here, but you're looking at this, and where do you see the green line here on the bottom? Well, there it is. That's a support level. So I had this alert level here. And just because I'm looking at Bookmap, this is a mistake that some people are making with Bookmap. Some people are looking on the very, very short time frames, literally very, very short time frames. I'll even show you on the Bookmap here. You're going into here, and then you're zooming in as much as you possibly can. And you're going literally incremental levels here. And this is moving because obviously futures are moving, excuse me. So you're looking at this and you're looking for entry criteria on every little dot and movement. This is not how you want to do this. You want to stick to that 5 minute time frame. You can go into the 1 minute time frame, which I think is okay. You can look to scalp between the 1 minute, but I would actually prefer that you guys do the 10 minute to 5 minute time frame. So this way you can catch some of the larger moves that might exist in the market, similarly to what we got today. So I literally did catch the entire move here. I took a Bookmap trade, and you guys will see a couple screenshots here. I haven't been going big on these positions because I don't trust them quite yet. I will get a little bit more comfortable after I get in about 100 to 150 trades. So what am I looking at right here? This is going to be the very short time frame. So traditionally, when I'm looking at my stock chart, how does this work? And I want to make sure that I explain this incredibly clearly because we need to marry the two things. We're not going to use Bookmap individually. We're not going to stop using charts. That's not how this is going to work. We're going to use different parameters and just add a different layer onto this. So how many of you guys are using different factors for you to take a confirmation? I like to use about three. I'm using my EMA, I'm using my RAF, and then I'm using my supply and demand level. So I definitely had a demand level here. There's no question on ES that that bottom line right there was my demand. There's no question. So I'm jumping in now into my shorter time frame, my 15-minute or maybe my 5 minute, because most of you said 5 minute. I'm looking at this. I had a double bottom right here, and then I had my alert, right? Because I don't want to be watching those dots all day long. I don't know about you guys, but that can be quite stressful. I want to protect my energy. So I'm looking at something like this, and I got the alert. I literally got this alert. Boom, boom, boom. Sometimes I get them at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And yes, I am taking trades at that time. So I'm looking at this, and then I got alert. So what did I do? I came running almost butt naked to my computer, trying to see exactly if there are orders that are coming in, right? So remember what I said during the introduction. If I do start to see orders that are coming in, maybe I want to start paying attention at that point. So I'm specifically looking at the 5 minute time frame. Forget Bookmap here just for a second. Just forget about it. I want you guys to visualize something. When we're looking at something like this on the 5 minute time frame, you can agree or you can disagree, but this is such a good example right here because this proves my point so incredibly well. 5 minute time frame, double bottom. So I set an alert when we were starting to break, maybe around the 54, 60 area, and I just wanted to pay attention to it. Do I have a signal to take along here per the traditional ways to do this? Probably not, but my EMA stacks were starting to pile up, my 9, my 13, my 21, okay? And then my RAF was giving me a pretty clear signal right here. I didn't trust it. I was looking for my second bounce or my third bounce because I usually like to go after the second or third bounce. This is all traditional TA, guys, right? This is nothing new. This is nothing surprising. We haven't tied this into Bookmap quite yet. So what am I doing here? I'm looking at that level. And then remember what it is I said about Bookmap? I said, do I see orders sitting there? If I start to see orders that are sitting there, that is another level to what it is that I'm doing here. So I didn't talk about the voodoo lines. The voodoo lines I do use. So this, coincidentally enough, for some of you, you're sick about hearing voodoo lines, but it is important to bring this up here. A voodoo line is going to provide a support and resistance level on any time frame that I'm using. So the snow line, I bounced off of that level twice. So now look what it is that I'm doing. This is really, really the key fact of using the Bookmap and using, you don't have to use the voodoo lines. I am not stressing for anyone to go out and say, hey, I'm going to drop $2,000 on these indicators because Sage said, and he's sounding real convincing. No, I don't want that. I just want you to make sense in your head of why it is you're taking that position. If you understand what it is you're doing and why it is you're doing something, you are going to be an infinitely more effective trader, which is how I feel with Bookmap now. So I see the snow line. The snow line is going to tell me, hey, Sage, pay attention to that level. I have the double bottom. So I called the double bottom. I called the snow line. I called the EMA stack. I hit my alert. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to go back. So pay attention to that level. It's 54.60, right? Now let's go to Bookmap here. I just already jumped into this. I'm sorry, guys. I got kind of excited. So I'm going to go back. One thing that I don't like about Bookmap is it cannot hold all of the information for the last 13 trading days. It's usually going back about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So this right here is a print of what's going on right now. So you guys are looking at this and you're saying, well, that looks pretty funky to me. You're right. It used to look funky to me too. A lot of you are using Bookmaps. You're using the VWAP here. I have the VWAP already on my other chart. And I have already these circles that are on here. I'm looking at some heat maps here, right? These are obviously going to be heat map charts. But what is this going to tell me? They're not sitting here any longer. They're not sitting here any longer, obviously, because the orders were filled. But what was the level that I said that we wanted to pay attention to? Let's just double check here. The level that we wanted to pay attention to was 5460, right? Let's see if we can find that here. So 5460 is sitting. This is on ES. I can't go back that far. Yeah, this doesn't go back that far. This is the one thing that I don't like about this. But just imagine this. At 5460, when I started looking at Bookmap, I was looking at the orders that were coming in, right? This is going to be the order book. That's literally what it is. And then I'm looking at volume come in, and I can't see this now. I can probably get a screenshot of when it is I took this trade because I knew I was going to do this webinar. Let me see if I can get it here. Okay, this is a little bit funkier, right? Let me see if I can get, no, I can't get it. So I didn't take a screenshot when I took the trade, but just imagine this, right? Let's just say that this is the double bottom support here. When I looked to take that order, I was literally looking back to back and seeing if we were stockpiling on the order here, literally seeing if more buy orders were coming in as opposed to sell orders, right? So this right here, this example, because I can't go further back, right? Because it only gives me a specific time period, right? I wish I can go back a little bit further. I've talked to them about this, but they can't go back that far. When I'm looking at the orders, when I'm looking to take a certain position, I'm looking at this and there's three things, literally three things that I'm looking at that I want to see that's going to confirm the buy signal. The first thing I want to see is just the volume, literally the volume. Some of you are saying, hey, but you can add the VWAP here. You can add a whole bunch of things. You can add the point of control. You can do all that. I already have a lot of information already on my chart that I really trust. So this is that additional element. But visually, what is this going to do? So this is going to be a density heat map. This density heat map to me is going to provide me a support and resistance area. So now let's actually blow this up just a tiny little bit and let's remove some of the contrast here. Let's just remove a little bit of the contrast so we can get a little bit of a cleaner picture. So when I looked to take that trade, I literally took it at that green line. That's exactly the trade that I took. And I took that also with another trade that I took on Qs. So when I took that trade, this heat map was dense right around that double bottom area. So how did I use my confirmation in order for me to take my longs? Does anyone want to take a guess of what it is that I saw before I actually give you the answer? Think about this. I haven't explained Bookmap 100% yet, but does anyone want to take a gander? What was it that I saw? You can unmute yourself if you want to, but I want to try to get you guys involved in this, try to get you guys thinking. Because I do a lot of thinking myself. I want to make sure that you guys are maybe seeing what I'm seeing.
Liquidity,
Where was the liquidity specifically?
5,600.
5,600?
Yeah.
So not exactly. Around the 5,460 area. We're not even at 5,600, so that number is not going to be accurate. But let's look back at this. I like how you're thinking. So you said the word liquidity. So liquidity is going to be if there are shares to be traded there, but I saw orders around this level. So how do I know that I saw orders and how do I know that they're filled? So now let me explain this and then I'm going to let you finish your statement here. So when I looked at this particular level, I'm looking at this, and at the time, remember, guys, I can't go back too much further in time. I wish I would have maybe recorded the data for the day, but this eats a lot of memory. But for you guys to get the point, I'm looking at this side by side, and then I'm also looking at Bookmap. And then Bookmap is going to be telling me, hey, first of all, an order is filled. All of these green balls and the red balls are orders that have been filled in the past. So that means that someone took a trade around that level. The larger the green dot, the larger the order. It's pretty simple. Okay. Some of you are looking at this and saying, what the hell am I looking at? It's pretty simple. The larger the green dot, the larger the order. Now, if you're looking at the support or the resistance level, in my case, I was looking at the support. We don't have support here any longer because obviously price action has passed by. When I saw that there was support around that level, what am I using as my confirmation to take my long? Well, I'm using my indicators. I'm using the double bottom, I'm using the EMA stack, and then I'm also using the RAF. Some of us don't have the RAF. This is going to be the same thing as the TTM. It's literally the same thing. So when I took that position, sayonara, it's done. You just take it. And where are you setting your stop loss? I've done stop loss webinars before. I'm not going to go in depth of what it is that I was where I set my stop loss. I'm setting it just a little bit below where my entry was. It triggers the stop loss. Guess what? I'm out. I'm out at 5-10%. It's a done deal. I held on to the trade for the entire day. I ended up with 100% gain on this trade, right? Because I took a put credit spread. but the rest is done deal. So how do I know if I want to hold on to the position or not? This is going to be the extra step to this. Jesse, do you want to try to, because I know you've been vocal already. Do you want to try to um, tell us where that might be?
Sure. So I see liquidity on 5,600 just because of that yellow orange line
Okay, so you're seeing that
there.
actively right now, right? So
Yeah.
just remember, I'm thinking back in time. I'm thinking earlier in the day. So I took that trade. Let's just say I had a double bottom. What didn't I see that would prompt me to say, hey, I want to hold on to this trade? What didn't I see?
Then you see, well, man, let me see. What the volume profile, the trades that are so the what didn't you see?
What
So
didn't I see? So let's just say, let me think. Let me just share a hypothetical example. I
okay,
take a long position after three long bodied candles, right?
yeah,
And then all of a sudden, I see one candle that all of a sudden is not agreeing. It's not agreeing with my bias, right? Three long candles, and then boop, I get a red candle. And that red candle, usually we're out. Sayonara, we're gone, right? That's usually how it works. I
I get
definitely see that. But what didn't I see that for me was like, hey, I probably want to hold on to this position? So you were alluding to this just now. This is going to be somewhat of a resistance area. It's not a strong resistance area. A stronger resistance area is going to look like this. So this is some pretty good resistance, right? You see that? So that's where the heat map is going to be. And that's going to tell me, hey, I probably want, you guys can see that screenshot, right? I probably want to take off my position here because this is it's running into a little bit of a mess, right? So you have the large red bubble, and then you also have the large volume spike behind that red bubble. So for me at the time, I didn't see that. You see what I'm trying to say here, Jesse? I
yeah,
didn't see that at all. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a ceiling. So let's just say I'm climbing up a flight of stairs, and then I see some movers that are moving into the third story apartment. Let's just say that I'm trying to move up. If I start to see them blocking the way there, do I want to make my way up, or am I going to wait a little bit?
wait,
I'm going to wait. So I didn't see the blockade here. I didn't see the movers on the third story or the fourth story. So if I'm not seeing those movers blocking my way, I want to hold on to that position. Are you usually moving up your stop losses as the trade is moving in your favor?
I just recently started doing that. Yeah,
Cool. So you can do trailing stops, which is fine. The majority of you are doing trailing stops anyway. So that's fine. That's fine. Now, if I see that overhead resistance, this is one of the screenshots, right? Again, I apologize, guys. I cannot go back to historical data. I'm still trying to fight with them with where it is that I can store some of this data, right? And I'm simplifying this as much as possible, but hopefully you guys can get the sentiment here. I'm looking at the order. I'm looking at the order book. This is the order book right here, and we're looking at the heat map. The heat map is different than the red and green bubbles. They're different. So the red and green bubbles are going to signify to me, bam, we got an order that's filled right here. And then bam, we have another order that's filled right there, right? So we're going to look at this and we're not going to stop using our charts. Don't do that. That is not a good idea. What you want to do when using Bookmap is you don't want to go and you don't want to do something like this where you're looking at each individual tick, right? This is way too finite for you to determine any sort of position. This is not what you want to do. What you want to do is continue looking at your own price action, right? That's what you learn. That's what you need to stick with because this is not always going to give you the buy or the sell signal. This is too finite of a pinpoint in order for you to take the signal. So what you want to do, right? And what it is I did on my long position, and I'm going to show you guys a couple screenshots because I'm trying to make $200 to $1,000 a day with this strategy, and it's been working quite well. It's been working incredibly well. So I'm going to go back into my chart, and I'm going to look on my 5 minute time frame. Y'all know me. I'm not a 5 minute time frame trader. I wasn't. Now I'm a little bit more. Now I'm a little bit more convinced. So I see my double bottom, and what am I going to do? I'm going to go into Bookmap, and then I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, are there orders sitting there or no? Right? Is there a bunch of orders sitting around 55.30 or whatever the number is, whatever the number is? And are they being filled? If they are being filled and I see that there is a support, there's a heat map support around that level. Whoop, I don't want to exit. If I see that there's a heat map support around that level, guess what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to hold on to the position. So imagine that this heat map support was holding right here. I would set my stop loss just below it and I would hold on to it all day long. I can definitely hold on to it all day long. You see what I'm saying, Jesse? Was that kind of clear or was that a little fuzzy?
that was clear. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. All right, so let me continue here with the slides, and then I'll go back into explaining a little bit more of some of the entry criteria, because I know that some of this can be very technical. If you're a little bit more of an experienced trader, you can get this pretty quickly. But I want to focus on the novice traders that are looking at this for the first time and saying, whoa, this is a little bit over my head. All right, so let's continue. That was just the introduction. Imagine the next couple minutes. Okay, so basically what you want to think about in terms of Bookmap, it's just a market depth tool. It's giving you the depth of where the orders can possibly be, right? I don't want you to think of it like it's giving you the signal to buy or to sell. It doesn't necessarily do that. It gives you clarification on if the signal is going to be a strong signal or a weak signal. So when you're looking at a chart, guys, how many of us look at charts? Literally, we look at charts and we're basically, I mean, this is kind of tough for me to say this because I've been doing this for years. It's kind of hard for me to admit that we're looking at charts like this. I can get rid of these. And we're basically guessing where the levels are. How many of us feel like that, right? How many of us feel like we're looking at something and we're like, I kind of think that we're going to hold here, but maybe we can reject here, or maybe we can hold here, right? How many of us actually go through stuff like that, right? I still go through stuff like that. So I want to try to use as many tools as humanly possible. I want the computer and I want the AI, I want Bookmap to tell me those are where the orders are sitting. And that's where it is that I engage with this trade. So I literally caught it off that candle right there. Do you guys see some volume behind ES? That volume came up on Bookmap. It was telling me, hey, there's some orders here. You probably want to hold on to this long. And it's the same thing for shorts, right? Don't think it's only about buying. If you start to see some sell orders that are hitting the tape, because that's what it's called. If it's hitting the tape and it's giving you a heat map resistance area, if it's giving you something like this doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be taking the short and taking 5,000 contracts on SPX to short. No, it doesn't mean that at all. You have to use this and you're going to reference it based on what you see your chart doing. So you have to go back and forth. If your chart is telling you, hey, on the 5-minute time frame, we're looking to hit some resistance here, I probably want to look to take that trade. Okay, so I have a sell signal based on the RAF here. But are the orders sitting there at the top and telling me, hey, we have an abundant amount of short orders versus an abundant amount of long orders? It looks pretty even to me. When you start seeing that imbalance on Bookmaps, similarly to what we're doing when we're looking at order flow, I'm going to share with you guys what imbalance looks like so you guys can get an idea. I'm going to show you a good imbalance here on Meta. So Meta, I actually took semi-long for earnings. This is what an imbalance looks like so you guys can get an idea. Do you see that imbalance right here? Do you see more green dots and more green as opposed to red? It's the same thing on the tape. It's the same exact thing. So when you start seeing that, you want to start looking to see maybe you're going to take that long or you're going to take that short position. Okay. So that's the level of what it is we're talking about here. So of course I'm simplifying this. Some of you guys are already using Bookmap. You're already using different indicators, but that's going to be the short and end of it. All right. So let's go through the rest of the slides here. Okay, so why it works, it's basically telling you orders are sitting here and this is where resistance is. If you don't see buy orders at a specific level, why would you buy there? It's pretty simple. It really, really is pretty simple. If I start to see that I think that we're going to bounce off of a particular level, how many times for 0DT do we sit at a level and say, hey, I think it's bouncing because we see that one green candle? I don't care about that anymore. To me, that was a waste of time. Honestly, it was a waste of time. I want to know, are there orders sitting there or not? If there's not, I don't care. If I'm holding on to a long position and now I think that we're going to start selling off a little bit, are there orders sitting there at the top at that 54.60 level? If there are, it's going to show on the Bookmap. It's going to show you the orders that are getting filled. And it's also going to show you the heavier or the more dense that heat map or the orange and red hue are going to be. Then by all means, you want to look to take a short position and just set up your stop loss as you normally would, right? It's not going to be too difficult at that point. So this, what it's going to do, it's going to provide you at least a little bit more reassurance of where those orders can be sitting. So I've been doing this a little bit, right? I'm going to show you a couple screenshots here. This is just about installing it. We talked about some of the basics already. We talked about how it works. These are just some of the trades that I've been taking. They're basically put credit spreads, call credit spreads. I've been taking calls here and there as well. So I'm using this on SPY as opposed to ES because calls on ES are very expensive. But these are just some trades, right? I take anywhere between 1 to 2 trades a day using Bookmap. If I don't see the orders, I don't want to take the trade. So instead of doing 3, 5, maybe 6, 7 trades, I'm doing 1, maybe 2 trades. And then if it doesn't work out, I want to know where the liquidity is lying, right? And that's how it is that I'm using the tool. So these are just a couple of screenshots. I've actually done a couple more trades over this. Whenever I'm looking to cut a position, I'm usually cutting it pretty quick because if I invalidate the position, it means that I read the book map wrong. The orders were not sitting there, and then the sellers or the buyers, right? Either direction that I'm taking. I don't care too much about direction any longer. I don't care if it goes up. I don't care if it goes down. All I care about are where the orders are sitting. If the orders are sitting at a particular level, and then I jump into my chart and then I set my alert. Literally, this is literally what I did on ES. I'm going on to the 5-minute time frame. I've already deleted those 2 alerts. But if it's trading in that level, and then all of a sudden I jump into Bookmap and I jump into some of my indicators here, as long as it's holding that level and looking for signs of reversal using my RAF, which I've talked about before, and using my EMA strategy, as long as it's starting to move in that direction, I'm setting up the order. And then I'm setting up my stop loss just a little bit below where I took the order, and the rest is history. It is literally that simple. I know that it's still a little bit confusing to some guys, right? So I'll answer questions here in just a little bit. We went about 30 to 36 minutes. Let me get through the last slide here. So we stream this all day long, right? And there are a numerous amount of videos. There are so many videos that I've included for Bookmap here. You guys are going to see the Discord here in just a second. So let me get out of this. I don't have any reservations about you guys. It can be a little bit daunting. It can be a little bit intimidating when you first look at it. I get it. I definitely get that. For Bookmap, for me, it was the same thing when I first saw it. So when you guys come into the start here section, there is literally a whole bunch of videos here on how to use this, how to set certain indicators if you want, but I'm using this in its most simplest form. I'm literally looking at this and just looking at where the orders are being filled. Everything else I can fill in the blank. I can take a position based on if I see the orders sitting there or not. I'm telling you right now, like for where we're trading, this is an active session. I have a couple alerts on ES right now. I can tell you right now that it looks like there's some short orders that are sitting right there at 5,600. I wouldn't be taking longs at this area. I'm going to be looking for imbalance fills to the downside, and I'm going to be setting an alert. I have here on ES. I'm going to be setting an alert exactly where we broke out. If we have a liquidity pool sitting around that area, what I'm going to do as soon as that alert hits, guess what? I'm going to run to my tool and I'm going to see if there are positions sitting there or not, right? I still have to trust the tool a little bit, right? I still need to, there's a dance that happens with indicators. The more time you spend with your indicators, the more you know your tools, the better you can get at this. I've taken roughly about 30 to 35 trades. I believe my win rate with this is about 60 to 64%, but where I'm setting my stop loss has been a game changer for me. I'm taking 5 to 10% losses on my scalps. That's it. And my runners, holy crap, man, my runners have been doing pretty good. I signaled an alpha trade. I probably should mention this. This has been probably my most impressive trade with Bookmaps so far. This is, let me look. This is actually pretty cool. Where is the Discord? So in the alpha program, I actually did signal ES long, right? So I signaled ES and GC long. So I'm using this for gold as well. So I signaled ES a couple days ago. If I would have held on to it a little bit longer, where did I signal it? Here it is. All right, I'm taking, and I signaled this just a couple days ago. I signaled ES long based on where I saw that pool at. It would, if I would have held on to it, it would have been 100 and maybe 15-point move. I'm still getting used to the tool, but yeah, I signaled this just 5 or 6 days ago. So I'm still a little bit iffy about the swing trades. The swing trades make me nervous. They make me nervous. I still have to trust the tool a little bit, but for day trading, for that 5-minute and 10-minute time frame, I don't want to use anything else, to be perfectly honest. I like this tool that much. And all I have to do, literally all I have to do, just a little bit of technical analysis. I don't even do that much technical analysis anymore. And I'm watching this throughout the day. I'm coming into this right here. I'm setting where the voodoo lines are, 15-minute time frame. So I put on the voodoos. And now it looks like rejecting a little bit. So I'm putting on the voodoos. I'm setting my alert where the voodoo lines are supposed to be. So you guys see that I set an alert here. I probably should set it close to the snow line. If we trade back to the snow line, if there's order sitting, I take the trade. It's that simple. It really has simplified my it gets kind of time consuming when we're looking at a whole bunch of different things. But if your indicator is telling you, hey, you want to take the buy order, well, let's double check. Are there orders sitting here that maybe would prompt a long? Let me check with Bookmap. That's how it's been working. Okay, guys. So of course, I want to conclude. This has literally been my shortest webinar to date. I usually go a lot longer. I want to conclude, guys. You saw our Discord has been through a massive change here, but I'm streaming Bookmap from 8:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And sometimes I leave it on a little bit longer. It is my reference point now. I simplified a lot of my strategy and just focusing on orders or no orders. If they're there, I take the position. And the win rate has been about 60, I would say about 65%, around there, around 65%. But Jesus, most of the orders that you saw on that screenshot, most of them I hold till about 70 to sometimes 100% gain because I want to hold for the entire position. So I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done with this. I really, really am. I'm done with every little candle on the 1 minute time frame because this is exhausting. Every little candle on the 1 minute time frame. I don't care what it does. I don't care. I care about boom. Is there order sitting at a particular level? If we're starting to drift into that zone where I see the heat map lining up, that's all I care about. Okay. That's it, guys. That's it. um, all right. I'm gonna open up the floor for any questions. I know that a lot of what I went through was a little bit confusing. So if anyone wants to unmute yourself or ask me any questions directly, I'd be more than glad to answer them. Let's see what you got, guys. Jesse, you have any questions or are you still confused?
Sage, yeah, I got a lot of questions.
Right.
I'll try to take breaks in between because I don't want to hug it up.
Okay.
Um, the cumulative delta,
Uh-huh.
do you utilize that on your trading with Bookmap?
I would say that yes. So
Do you
cumulative
look?
delta, you can use tick as well, which is fine. You can use put to call ratio, which is fine as well. Do you use any of those things?
No.
No.
What?
Okay.
See, maybe. Okay, so I noticed that because I have the subscription through Think or Swim,
Okay. I got you.
so I know I'm limited. So all I let me see. Let me go on it real quick. Hold on.
Okay. While you do that, I'm going to answer another question and
Go
then
for
just
it.
unmute
Go for it.
yourself when you come back on. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. No worries. Okay, so basically we have a lot of red bubbles, a lot of green bubbles. That's awesome, guys. I want you to think about this tool exactly like that. Look, pay attention to the green and red bubbles. I know that I'm abstracting so much information from here. This is so rich in tools, so rich in knobs and things that you can tweak. I don't want you guys to get lost into that. I want you to understand it's very simple when it comes to trading. Are there orders sitting there? Are there not? If there are orders sitting there, look at your indicator on the 15-minute time frame. And from there, if you have the buy signal via your squeeze or your EMA, you're taking the position and then you're using this as confirmation number 4. It doesn't need to be that hard, right? I really, really hate when people try and make things sound more complicated than they are. This is not that complicated. The most important thing that exists in the stock market is the imbalance of liquidity. The option, or not just the options, but the stock market is imbalance of buy and sell orders. If you can see where those imbalances are, you can be better at predicting where that move can be. I was already okay. I was pretty okay at predicting large moves in the market because I've done this for a little while. But having a tool like this where it's giving you clear indication of where that liquidity can be, that is everything. That is literally everything. If you can sit on the throne looking at 15 monitors and seeing where the 25 largest institutions are taking their positions, that is all I care about. I don't care about anything else. If these people are all taking Apple shares at $190 and they're setting their orders there, that's all I care about. That's literally all I care about. All right. So that's how I want you guys to think about this. Yeah, it does eat. This eats up resources like crazy. So I do have a maxed out computer. I do have an Apple M3 chip computer. So this is eating a lot of resources. So this is why we're streaming it. So it eats the resources on my computer. But if you do decide to subscribe to it for yourself, yeah, it does. You need a good GPU, a good CPU, and you also need quite a bit of memory as well. All right, let me see what else. All right, Alex, if you go into the start here section where my channel is, all of those are going to be there, okay? Let's see who has their hand up.
Yeah, I look, but I don't see him. I think
Um,
something's wrong with my Discord.
all right, hold on. All right, so do you see where it says start here?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to see all this information right here?
Let me see. Scroll down. Okay, yeah, I see all that.
Okay. So yeah, you got it. It's right here.
Okay.
Yeah, check out those videos. It's 4 hours of your time. I before I started using this, I probably spent about 25 hours learning this. About 25 hours. 25 hours made me $15,000 to start. So it was worth my time. The ROI on my time was definitely worth it for sure. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. My buddy's been using it for 6 months.
Does he like it? Do you
He
think it's
loves it.
effective?
He
Okay.
loves it.
Yo, yeah, I'll say this on the webinar. I know it's unprofessional, but this MFer is I don't know where I've been. I've been under a rock here for a while because Bookmap has been around, I think, since COVID, maybe a little bit before that. And they pull data directly from the CBOE and different places as well. But the data is completely streamlined, right? But I really like it. I really like it for confirming if I'm taking a squeeze trade. I just want to look at the book map and say, all right, is this squeeze for real or am I just wasting my time here? So I'm actually taking less trades. I'm actually taking less trades, right? Instead of doing 6 trades a day, I'm maybe doing 1 or 2. Today I took 1 trade. I took 1 trade and that's it. I just let it boom. I just let it flow. Now I'm a little bit nervous about putting two $5,000 on each position, right? Because oh my goodness, I have horror stories when it comes to that. I've lost 40, $50,000 in a day doing zero DT. So obviously I'm traumatized. But between $200 to $1,000 a day using this tool, I've been able to hit that pretty nicely. So yeah, I've been trading for about 6 weeks. I don't use it every day because if I don't see the confirmations there, I'm not taking it. I only want to take it if I see a strong confirmation. So in that sense, instead of me doing 80 trades a month, maybe I'm doing 20, but they're relatively good quality trades. That's the magnitude of what I'm talking here. Angelo, you had your hand raised. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. Can you tell me what was your trigger when you saw the
Yeah,
heat? I mean, what were you looking at to take the trade? Oh,
absolutely.
yeah,
So I
please.
can't go back further in time because this only allows me to go back
Okay.
just a couple hours. Actually, Angelo, actually, it's right here. You can't see the orders any longer because they've already filled. But where did I say that I set my alert? Right. Let's go into the chart and let's dive into this because this is cool, man. I made I think $620 on this trade today. So let's look at ES.
I missed that. You were too quick.
All right, so I want to make sure you get this. So I set the snow line down here, right? I talked about the snow line. You don't have the voodoo lines quite yet, right, Angelo?
No, no, no,
Okay,
I
okay.
don't.
All right, so let me just remove the voodoo line. Let's just call this double bottom right here, right? Sorry, give me a second. Give me a second. All right, so let's just call this double bottom, right? How many times have you heard double bottom in just trading?
Thousand
So
times a day.
a million times. So the double bottom is here. When you're learning, because Angelo is part of the alpha program, when you're learning from me, right? This is going to be a lesson for all of you. So you guys see how it is that I handle the alpha program. And Angelo's there for every session. So Angelo, when I'm looking at this, when you're learning from me or from Kyle, right? What it is that you're doing is you're waiting for either the cloud or you're waiting for the 9 and the 13 cross, right? So that is going to be right here around the 1 minute time frame. So I set my alert right there on the double bottom. And where is that level? Around 54.60, right? So I actually took it around that level, 54.60. So I was a little bit late on this candle right here. But what specifically I'm looking at, man? What specifically I'm looking for is let's go to 54.60. 54.60 is going to be right around here. So at the time, it's not there any longer, but at the time, I had a lot of support. So I had some of these long orders that were starting to fill, but you had literally a heat map. So that heat map, it looks like this. I'm sorry that I don't have a real world example right now because this data, as orders start filling, it starts to shift. But this is what it looks like, Angelo. Just imagine this. This is going to be resistance here at the top because now we're trading at 55. So I had this where we're looking at 54.60. So I saw those orders and those green balls that were filling up. And then just take this, just take a screenshot and then imagine that that was sitting right around here. So when that was sitting around that level, that was telling me, hey, there's buyers here. And then I'm looking at the order book right here. And then I'm seeing the imbalance. You see how this is actually pretty easy to read. I'm looking and I'm seeing, is there more green orders as opposed to red orders? That's an imbalance. So when I saw that, when I saw those three things, I said, I want to take that trade. Right now, what we're doing with alpha, we're taking trade positions based off what when we're crossing on the EMAs. Are you using the EMAs right now or not really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What is your trigger for the EMA?
It's a 200 day out.
So you're using larger time frames. What about for scalping? What are you using for scalping?
I'm not doing any scalping.
Ah, okay. Okay. So that's where there's the discrepancy here. So I use the 9 and the 13. When those two crossed, I looked at the order book, which I keep on saying, I'm sorry, I keep on repeating that, everyone, but
No, no,
I
good.
looked at this, and then I looked at my heat map. And I was literally looking at orders that were starting to fill here. This is not as dense as it once was, but I was looking at that support area right here. I was looking at all that orange and all that green. I'm sorry that this is not overly technical.
So that is the heat map. You showed too much blue, and
Not
you
blue. No. I saw red and I saw orange. So that's going to tell me there's dense orders there. That's going to be, hey, there are some orders that are sitting around that level. And then when I saw that, when I came into my chart, I said, yep, we're going to have a go here. And where did I set my stop loss, Angelo?
uh I know, I don't know where you said it, but you said that
Right there.
right there, yeah, like a little bit above when you what you entered,
A little bit lower.
a,
So
a little bit lower, yeah.
so what's my risk reward here? My risk reward, I was maybe betting about 10 points to potentially, I didn't take a futures trade on this. I should have. This would have been a loss of 10 points versus a gain of how many points here? So we were down here triggering at 60, and this went all the way up. This would have been 120 points, literally 120 points. So the risk reward here was definitely worth it. I would have. I held this till expiration today. I literally did.
That's a beamer right there.
This is not a typical trade. This is exaggerating my point. But looking at that, looking at Bookmap here, there's no second guessing. I didn't second guess myself. I saw the heat map. It was nice and dense around that area. And then I saw the orders that were coming in around the 5460 area. And then what am I doing? What am I doing? It really is so simple. I'm looking at the damn thing and I'm saying, are there orders sitting there? And am I going to have a go here? So I'm coming back to my chart. I have my confirmation on the 1 minute, more so the 5 minute. I don't like using the 1 minute. So I'm using the 5 minute time frame. I have the engulfing, I have the double bottom, I have my RAFs firing. I'm setting my stop loss here, and it's history, man. So where am I going to try again if I do start looking at a long order? It's not that difficult. I'm going to pull back here on the time frames. I'm going to go to the 15-minute, 30-minute time frame, and I'm going to set an alert right around this area. I'm not looking at all these minute levels anymore. I'm not. Some of you are in the Discord and you're like, where's Sage? Well, Sage is, hanging out at the pool trying to get a tan because I don't care about these levels anymore. I don't care because what it's going to do on the 1 minute and 5 minute time frame, as long as there are orders that are sitting at a particular level, if I get the alert, I'll look on my phone, I'll look at my own stream, and then I'll say, hey, if there are orders sitting there, I'm looking at my RAF, I'm looking at my 9 and 13 and 21, and then I'm looking to see, are there orders long on NQ or ES? And if the answer is yes, I'm taking the trade. I'm setting a 5 to 10% stop loss, and I'm taking 3 trades a day. That's it. It's really, really that simple. If we're, just for example, like yesterday we pulled back like crazy. I did not catch this to the downside. I will perfectly admit this. I did not catch the order book showing shorts. I didn't see that. I should have. But I was a little bit pissed off with Bookmap, and I admit this. It's not 100% infallible. I did not see the short orders that came in when we were rejecting around 55.25. So I was a little bit pissed with Bookmap yesterday. Yesterday because of that. But if I do see that imbalance, and imbalance is not difficult to see, it really, really is not. If I pull up this chart right here, right? This is an exaggerated example. This is Meta. All right. What do you see more here on Meta? Just looking at it, Angelo.
Calls.
You see more longs, right? If you see a crap ton of green, are you going to be shorting the stock?
No.
Probably not. But is that enough confirmation for you to take a long? Is that enough for you to say, let me put $20,000 on Meta and see how it goes?
No, that's a lot of zeros for my head, man.
All right, so let me pull it back a little bit. Instead of it being $20,000, let's say $200. What am I going to do on Meta? Right? Talk me. I want to hear. I don't want to hear myself anymore. I want to hear you talk about this.
Holy crap.
On the daily time frame. What are you looking at? What level are you looking to take this at? Give me 2 levels here.
Well, it's it's a chart on the way. I can really see. All right. let me move
Maybe
that.
you can't see the levels because it's a little bit, but I'm looking at a demand level here, and then I'm looking at a demand level at 427. That's basically it. If I start seeing a lot of long orders like I'm seeing for Amazon, like I saw for AMD, like I saw for a couple of other trades, like I saw for QQQ, I have to be honest. I saw Bookmap that were some orders were coming in on Bookmap on that 1 hour time frame. So that's a little bit unfair for me to say that I
Well,
saw.
that hammer, that almost hammer at what is it, 440 something before that long candle.
This
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, right there.
So this is a demand level right
A
here.
double bottom anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Angela. I would agree. I would agree here. But also, what else do we teach during the alpha program, man? We teach you if the squeeze is on, if you're getting the fire on the squeeze,
Volume, okay.
and also that 9, 13, 21. It's repetitive. It's the same. Excuse my French here, but it's the same shit over and over again. The signal doesn't change. If you have a system where your entry criteria is changing all the time, or because you took one bad trade based on a system that's working and you were out of luck on that trade, and you're starting to fire and try to hit too many things at the same time, the problem is the trader. It's not the system. Systems are supposed to be repeatable, mechanical. If they're not repeatable and mechanical, then there's something wrong. And remember the first thing that I said when you guys got on this call, if it doesn't make sense and you don't understand why it is that you're making money, you are not going to be successful as a trader. If you don't understand rotations, if you don't understand cyclicality, if you don't understand the trigger, if you don't understand the squeeze, if you don't understand moving averages, if you don't understand imbalance for liquidity, you're shit out of luck in this game. You're going to be losing to people like me. I say this all the time, but you're
Oh.
going to be losing to sharks like me because we understand this stuff. So doing a little bit of homework and understanding, hey, orders are sitting here. Try where the orders are sitting. Orders are sitting here at the top. That's some resistance. I probably don't want to be taking long positions at that level. If you understand stuff like that, you're going to be a little bit well prepared. Okay. Angela, I'm so sorry I yelled at you. I yell at you during the alpha sessions too, man.
No, you're good, man. You say it straight out. I love it. Now, so you are turning into day trading. Now you told me how to do spreads, and now you're doing day trading. What's up with that?
I like $200 to $1,000 a day. So I think about it like this. If I trade 225 days a year and I'm making about $500 per trading day and I have a win rate of, let's say 65%, right? That's more than $100,000 a year just playing around with Bookmap,
No, I
right?
hear you. I hear you. We're shifting. I got you. All right.
$100,000 a year. I will be honest. $100,000 a year, more or less, for me is not going to change my life. It's not.
I gotta work
But
60 hours a week to do that.
but for some of us, it is life changing. Okay, it is literally, and I don't want to downplay that. Please don't think that I'm talking here on a high horse. It's just the fact that I've done the work already. I've already put in the work, guys. So I do long positions. I like doing the long positions, but here for me to keep engaged, this is how I'm doing it, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think that this here is one of those things. They come around once in a
Can you alert us a little bit when you're about to do something like that? So maybe we can follow it too.
jump on the stream. I come on and
I do.
oh, you do for Bookmap?
Yeah. What?
For Bookmap, do you go on the Bookmap stream?
Well, yeah, I watch it, but you don't, not much,
Okay.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
will look to do a couple more alerts. I need to be a little bit more comfortable with it as well, right?
I hear
But
you. I hear you.
yeah. Thank you for your input. Let me answer Brittany's question here. Thank you so much, Angela.
No, thank you too.
Go ahead, Brittany. I'm sorry we kept you waiting. Okay, so I think Brittany might be off, but we'll give her a chance here to ask her question. Jesse, you ready, man? I kept you waiting a little bit too.
I was
Oh, Brittany, go ahead. Go ahead.
so I was looking at the book back and how you were saying to do the confirmations.
Mhm.
So when the green dots are aligning, you're looking and they're higher. Let's say in the instance, yeah. If we go back here, so if the orders are sitting higher up with green dots, does that mean take a long, or are we looking at for confirmation at our entry level? Like,
You're looking at both things. So that is actually a very good and very technical question. So let me ask you this before we get into confirmation using the green dots. When you're taking a trade, what is your time frame?
Mostly 3 minutes, 3 to
Okay.
5 minutes.
So I want to make sure that I'm speaking in your context. So when we're looking at the 3 minute time frame, let's just use this as an example. Pick a stock, any stock.
SPY. Well,
Did you
that's
take it?
index. I'm sorry. I picked SPY.
Okay. So did you take any trades today?
I did.
Okay.
And yeah.
What did you do today? Talk me through the trade.
All right. So I took a trade at, let me tell you. Sorry, I gotta bring up my order. I did a SPY put around 12 Eastern.
12 Eastern. So
Right.
let's pinpoint that down.
So right as the EMAs are crossed,
Mhm.
and well, they're not fully crossed yet, but on 3 minute, we have a strong rejection candle that's right under the 13 EMA. So I entered there. It was a short trade because it bounced immediately after. So yeah, I took a 550 put.
So you won on this trade. You made money on this trade.
No, I lost. 12 Eastern.
So 12 Eastern would be right here. Ah, okay. So your entry was right there on that cross. So
Yes.
you took off this trade right when you were breaking above 551-ish?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So you didn't do anything wrong here. This is exactly a trade that I would take, right? Literally exactly the trade that I would take. And I like the fact that you referred to that you were taking a cross. So that cross here is fine. So now I'm actually going to go to Bookmap. Let's try to interpolate some of the levels here. They're not exactly going to be the same, but how is this going to add dimension to what it is that you're doing? If you do take the short position, what specifically are you looking for? You're looking at orders sitting around that level. And then what is going to be the other dimension that you want to add to that? You want to specifically look for something like this. It's literally going to be a heat map. So heat maps are not new. They're definitely not new, but you want to look for something like this. Is there resistance in that area or not? If there is a high amount of resistance, you want to pull the trigger on the trade. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you're taking a long, what do you want to do? Since we're getting into it, I want to get your thoughts here.
So if I'm taking them along, EMAs are cross going up. I'm looking for a bounce right off the a candle close right above that 13 EMA line. Ideally fanned out, squeeze loading with either 2 yellow histos going into a blue. And then if I would come onto here, this is my final confirmation to see if there's the heat map is showing green in that demand area.
Okay. So how do you know the validity of the strength of the buy signal or not? Because there's a way to see that here using Bookmap.
I'm looking for more greens than reds. A lot of a higher what
I
is
love
it?
that. I love that. I love that.
Like
I love
is
that.
that the correct way?
Yeah, it is. It
Okay.
is. And where are you setting your stop loss if you're taking short or because remember what I said here during today's presentation. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't care if it's long or short. All I care about, you have 4 or 5 confirmations, you take the trade. It's as mechanical as you can possibly be. So if I do take a long, just hypothetically, I took a long with futures, so it's unfair to say that this is an open market session. But based on what you just said, let's just say I'm taking a 3-minute cross here on 9/13/21. Would you say that this would be a buy signal that you would take off of $548.75?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would take it there. Where would I set my stop loss if you can see my screen?
I would do my stop loss right at the bottom of that blue EMA line. What is that?
Okay.
48?
Right at the bottom of the okay. So that's going to give you roughly about a 5 to about 8% stop loss. Is that fair?
Yeah, I usually do 5%
Okay.
or 30%
Okay.
5% per 30.
So your risk reward is unbelievably high. I don't like 5% because I find often as I get swept out of that position, especially if I'm using the 3-minute. I like the
Me all the
5-minute.
time.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brittany.
No, that's me all the time. I do get stopped out a lot. Yeah.
It's normal. It's normal. It's actually for someone like you, the risk reward is so good that you can lose 6 trades out of 10 and you can still be profitable. So the 5% is okay. Personally, I prefer 10 to 15, but also I keep it at that because when you start to accumulate a little too much, then it's no good. But with everything that you said, right? When you're looking at the Bookmap stream, when you're looking at something like that, are there orders sitting around that particular level or not? If there are, then it's a done deal. Then I want to hold on to it. Is there a resistance at that top? If there is, if the answer is yes, then you decide I'm moving up the stop loss or I'm looking to hold this position just to see if we're going to cross that resistance area. The stronger the yellow and the red hue, the stronger the resistance is. It's
Okay.
it's really not rocket science. And I'm looking at this and I see some of the videos too. Some of the videos they're talking a little bit too technical, which I like technicalities. I truly do. But here I mean, it's pleasing to the eye. It's very simple to see. Is there volume behind that large dot or not? Is there a liquidity pool there? You're going to see that here on the order book. And is there support and resistance? Does it make sense, Brittany? Did anything that I say was like, is it rocket science?
No, it's not rocket science, but it's definitely clear. I
Okay.
would probably have to use it a few times to be sure I'm taking it correctly. It's just
I
like with the squeeze. It took some time.
I'm the same thing. I'm the same things. Like when I started using voodoo lines, I got to trust the tool a little bit, and I'm going very light. I really really am. I'm taking $200 trades, right? So I want to keep it at that. I want to keep it small so I can trust the tool, so I can build the skill set. Anything else I can answer for you, Brittany? You had some amazing questions. You really did.
Thanks. Nope, that's it for me.
Okay, cool. Jesse, talk to me.
All right, question. When you look at Bookmap, what is your confirmation of what do you see that makes you get out of the trade um before there's a reversal?
Okay. So let me do the same thing that I did with Brittany, because to answer a question like this, you have to know how you build up to the confirmation. How do you confirm without using Bookmap, taking a buy or a sell signal? Talk me through your process.
Support, resistance, and then the indicators that I use. And then once it hits, then I go through it. But sometimes I'll see those layers. I don't know if I'm overthinking those layers, or like, because I know those layers have liquidity.
Okay.
But sometimes I will stay in my trade, and once it hits, if I'm longing, once it hits the layer, it'll end up tanking, and then I'll get my stop loss will hit. But then there's other times where it continues to go up, and there's layers after layers after layers, and it keeps sucking it up all the way till it goes to X, Y, and Z, and then I get out on a good trade.
I got you. Okay,
So
so let me
yeah.
challenge you to think a little bit differently about your stop losses. When you hit your stop loss, that's not a bad thing. Hitting a stop loss at a 5 to 10% loss, it's just part of the game. It's like paying your bills. Okay. So I know it's frustrating when we were taking a string of trades. Let's say we take 5 trades and we're like, God damn, I took 5 losses. So I'm pretty bad at this. You stop thinking that way. That is not the right way to think. If you take 3 losses and you're cleaning your hands and you took 5% loss on each trade, that's it. It just wasn't for you. Okay. So that's just the first thing. And I say this very often, especially like in the alpha program. This is not we're not talking about alpha today, but just I'm challenging you to start thinking that way. Stop thinking about, damn, I took 5 losing trades in a row, but I only lost 5 to 10% on them. That's fine. If the risk reward is still making sense, you can catch a trade like we caught today. If you're taking options or if you're taking long calls, you would have easily caught this trade. But what I want to specifically, and I want all of you to listen to this, right? All however many of you are on the call. I want you to talk me through what your confirmation is without using Bookmap. So you mentioned indicators and you were mentioning that you're taking a position, but you weren't really finite on what your entry criteria is. Do you mind if I ask you exactly how it is that you would take a position? I want you to be as detailed and as technical as possible if you can. And I'm going to use the chart here. What do you want to look at? SPY cues?
SPY.
Cool. So we're going to do, what time frame do you want to do?
5 minute.
Cool. All right. So let's look at the 5 minute. The outline gray here is pre-market and post-market. So talk me through how you would take a trade here. And then I'm going to get some really good insight in how it is you're looking at this.
So let's see. So I noticed you have the value profile. So we got the VAL. So I would get in the VAL, which is, it's kind of tough to see the price. But let's just say 551.
So 551 is going to be here. Are you using the volume profile as well? I don't have my volume profile weighted the correct way. So I'm going to weight it all the way back here.
Got it.
So my value area low is going to be down here. Coincidentally enough, it's just past where the moving averages are. So would you have taken an open breakout trade in the morning? Was that something that you would do?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
I would do that.
Okay, cool. So that sometimes to me is very scary. The fact that you said sometimes to me is not enough. It's not a clear indication enough. Why would you take the open breakout? What is your confirmation to do that? Remember, everything that a trader does is based on confirmations, right? I'm not going to cross the street if I don't see that white little man telling me it's time to cross the street, or else I'm putting my life in danger. That's called reading a signal, right? So what is the signal that you're reading that would confirm to you, Jesse, hey, I think I want to take this long position. And then I promise you after this example, it's going to make a little bit more sense what I'm trying to build on top of. So what is that confirmation, Jesse?
My RSI and my net percentage.
Okay, so net percentage and RSI. What level are you in front of a computer right now? What
Yeah.
level specifically would you have taken that trade at? I want to know the exact penny amount.
Okay, so the level that I'll be looking at, yeah, 549.50-ish.
549.
540, right there where you have the little
Where the green is?
plus sign. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to take the VAL area. Well, so
Yeah.
I love the volume. The volume profile on the 4-hour time frame has literally made me a fortune. So I
I
don't even
recently
want to go.
started using it. It's
Yeah, the
great.
volume profile is another level, man. For a larger time frame, just forget it. Forget it. Right. I don't even want to hype that up right now. But okay, so
Yeah.
we have that break here. So two things that I want you to pay attention to. We didn't get a squeeze firing right here. So that is a misfire on your squeeze, and you have relatively low volume, right? So I think we can all agree here. Relatively low volume. But you would have taken this long position maybe after that, maybe that position trading into the VAL area, right? So you would have taken that trigger. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what would be your condition to take the position off? Where would you say I'm out?
If usually I would, if I see my RSI and my percentage decreasing, and it continuously decreases, then that's usually when I get out. So let's just say probably like around. It depends on at that moment how I'm reading it and how everything is flowing. But usually I would probably get out where that below that purple line.
Okay, below the purple line. Where do you see a purple line? I see a purple line right here, right?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay, so you took your entry here and taking your stop loss here. That doesn't make
No,
sense.
no,
Your
no,
stop,
no, no, no. I'm sorry. Profit target. So what you're saying is where would I take my stop loss at?
yeah, where are you going to put that stop?
Oh,
That is the most important decision you make in trading. Where your price target is the second most important, but your stop loss is your
yeah, sorry, misinterpret that.
no worries.
Yeah, 20%. So
100%. Okay.
depending on the size that I'm putting in, like if I'm in a call, $150 call, I go and I set it up at 20%. So probably, well, based on this one straight on top of the head, I would go at 559.50, 559.30.
Okay, so I think we're mixing the ideas here. So specifically looking at stop loss, you said 20% stop loss. So let's just say that's $549, right? Let's just hypothetically say that. So your price target is going to be what? Can you say that number again?
My price target
Mhm.
would be, so what I usually do, hopefully it makes sense. So what I usually do is I set my price target to 100 and then my stop loss to 20.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And then if it goes against me past that, then I cancel out the profit target and I let it continue on and I get out.
So you're only taking the trade off if it hits 100% profit.
Yeah, if it continues on.
Okay.
Or the
Okay.
profit target. But at the stop loss, I'm strict. I leave it at 20%. What I'm starting to do now is if it continues and it hits my profit target and it continues on, then I move my stop loss up.
Okay. Okay. All right. How open do you want to be? Oh, you want me to be with you right now? On a
Oh,
scale of 1 to 10.
100%.
All right, yeah, 100%. Okay. So this profit target of 100%, you got to get rid of that. The
Okay.
profit target is going to be based on what the market is giving you. Okay.
Okay.
It cannot be a number. It cannot be 20, 30, 50, 80, 100 million percent. That's not how this works. It has to be based on what the candle is literally telling you. So the interpretation of the candle. So if I'm going to take a position, I actually like your entry criteria. I like what you're using for confirmations. I would like you to be a little bit more tight knit on what your entry criteria needs to be. And I don't want to force on what mine is, right? Brittany gave a very beautiful example of what hers is. It's a little bit more tight knit. But with you, we're looking at an entry here, and then we set the stop loss at 20%, which I think is fine. I think that's perfectly fine. Now, when we're looking at a target, it's normal for you to set price targets. I think it's the most normal thing in the world. I usually have 3 on my chart. But when we're taking a trade like this, right, you would get out, I would say you would get out probably on that candle. Would that be fair to say, Jesse?
Yeah, I
Okay.
would.
Okay. So that's fair. That's fair, right? So if I'm taking a trade like that, you can either move up the stop loss or you can put on a trailing stop loss. You said to me that that's something that now you're examining, right?
The
But there's one. Go ahead.
trailing stop loss, I actually just started using that recently. So
Okay.
yeah,
So I would definitely use that because your risk reward is going to be in check, right? You want to have good risk reward. So if you're trying to make $30 and you're risking $10, your risk reward is phenomenal. You're going to be a profitable trader. It doesn't matter how many times you get hit with your stop loss. It doesn't matter. So same thing here. I think that everything that you said was right on point. But what you're driving at and what you want to ask me is, how do I know if I'm going to hold on to the position? How do I know that I'm not going to be swept out by this candle? How do I know? Well, if you're going to be using Bookmap the way you are, the Bookmap is going to tell you, hey, are we selling into that order with strength, or are we selling into a little bit of the weakness there? So when you're looking at the Bookmap orders, literally, since you have the tool, right, you're subscribed to it, you're using it on TOS, so you don't have the entire story here. But as we're starting to trade into that level, is there volume and is there selling pressure? So this is going to take some time for you to read, and it's going to take me some time to read this as well. I'm still getting used to the numbers. But as you're starting to trade into those levels, right? Do you have large orders that are being filled, or do you have small orders that are being filled? Do you see the distinction here? So let's just look back at this chart. I think that the way that you would manage this trade, I would have done the same thing. I would have done exactly the same thing. I actually would have taken the trade a little bit earlier on this cross right here on the 3-minute or the 5-minute time frame. Let's go into the 3-minute because it gives us a little bit more insight.
Okay.
All right. So the 3-minute time frame, I would have taken that signal right there, and I would have set my stop loss. I literally would have taken this trade. I literally would have taken this trade, and then I would look to hold on to it. So as soon as I start seeing that rejection right there, that candle for me, now the way that I'm looking at it is I'm coming into my Bookmap and I'm saying, is there a large amount of resistance in that area? And if the answer is no, I'm holding on to it. And what else am I doing, Jesse? Instead of setting my stop loss at that 20%, what am I doing now? I'm
higher it up.
moving it up. Cool.
Moving it up.
That is unbelievable good trading etiquette. Unbelievably good trading etiquette. So 20% to me is still a little bit loose, but let's keep it at that number. Okay. So how am I going to decide whether I want to hold on to the position? Because you're thinking in the back of your mind, right? I know you're thinking this. Sage, if I would have held a little bit longer, right? If I was not so stingy on the trade, it could have went all the way up to here, right? This is what you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
I know you're thinking this because I was thinking the same thing. There's no way to avoid this. If you start thinking about, damn, I missed the entire move here, but you triggered on your stop loss, then this is not going to be the rodeo for you. You took or you put your stop loss in the right area. What are you going to do so you can avoid moving the potential or catching the potential move to the upside? There's one right answer here. So remember, you're not limited to how many trades you can take. But if I were to take a trade here, right where your entry criteria was, and I was stopped out right here, what can I do in order for me to maybe get a little bit of that move there the second time? What's the answer, Jesse?
Well, if I'm in, I would higher up my stop, right? If it's going from
No. Let me rephrase this question. If I took this trade, let's say I took the exact trade that you lined out. I took this trade right here, and then I got stopped out right when we were hitting $549.55 because I'm a dedicated trader and I'm trading the parameters. I'm setting my stop loss parameters, yada, 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 yada. What am I going to do here in order for me to catch this move here to the upside and try again on the trade? I just gave you the answer.
So what I would do is I'll confirm if there's orders pending.
Okay. And what are you going to do? You're going to jump in again, right?
Jump in a Bookmap, compare. That's something that I just got off of your webinar right now is go jump in a Bookmap, compare the orders, and if the orders are decent enough, more than decent, actually, I should say, then get back in.
Cool. So remember why that stop loss is there, because you don't know if that order is going to undercut you and then it's going to be trading back down to whatever, right? We don't know. We don't
Yeah.
know. So that stop loss, you need to trade with that stop loss. I don't care what anyone says. It's like you driving a car. I know I do this myself, but you know what? It's kind of like you getting on a plane without you having a parachute, right? It's kind of the same thing. You don't trade without stop losses. It's the stupidest thing in the world for you to do something like that, because you can always puncture that, especially if you're doing some of the shorter DTs. Set the stop loss, but nothing on planet Earth is telling you you can't get back into the trade. So do you have a signal for you to get back into that trade off of the 3 minute time frame? Maybe you do. So you engulfed out of that candle. You have the moving average crossing there on that 9, that 13, and a little bit of that 21. So you take the trade again, dude. And then what are you going to do? You're going to take the exact same trade where you took the entry, and you're going to set the stop loss again. So you got stopped here for maybe about 5-10%, whatever it is, and then you're going to try again, right? And this is going to overpower the 5-10% loss you took on your first trade. See what I'm saying? You don't
Yeah.
always have to get it right the first time. This is the thing that new traders don't understand. You don't have to get it right on the one or the second trade. You just have to keep on trying and hitting the same criteria, the same entry criteria. Sometimes it takes 5 trades, right? I'm telling you now, the week that I had last 2 weeks, I've lost a shit ton of money, guys. I've lost more than $50,000 the last week, right? But I'm not holding back here. I know that as the market is pulling back, and I just got in Qs, took some money behind that Qs trade. I know that if I'm waiting for the entry criteria on some of the higher time frames, that I'm using everything that we're talking about here in order for me to jump back in. So I'm kind of getting offhand here. But Jesse, what am I going to do, man? If I get stopped out on that trade, I'm going to try again, and we're not going to play this game of chicken with the market, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose every time. Every
Yep.
single time you will lose. So set that stop loss when you're looking to hold on to the trade or not. Is Bookmap clear? If it's not clear, guess what? You're stopped out, and then you're just waiting to trade into that zone again. Are there orders and there's a liquidity pool sitting at that level? You have the tool. You're going to decide, okay, I want to jump back into this trade. Now, instead of you sitting in front of the computer all day, what are you going to do? So you can hang out by the pool and maybe have a Mai Tai. You're going to set an alert.
Then alert. Yeah.
Set an alert. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Nothing I've said here is really, it's nothing too scientific. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of, damn, this is the entry, right? And if you want to watch the chart all day, that's fine. That's totally fine. That is totally fine. But you had the entry criteria here. You're using the RSI, which is okay. I think that the RSI is a little buggy. I think it's a little bit laggy, but again, it's just my personal opinion. I like the moving averages, especially the exponential moving averages, because they're a little bit more real time. So you take the trade right here, right? You move up your stop loss. You make 10% on this trade. All of a sudden, boom, you're stopped out right here because you have a loss of momentum on that particular candle. And also your TTM is starting to squeeze to the downside. These are not good things. So where are you going to take the trade again? Well, it looks like the TTM was starting to pick up around 550.25. And then you would have held on to that trade. You would have moved up your stop loss, and you would have saw what I saw when I was looking at Bookmap. I started to see accumulating orders, and I just rode the wave. You see what I'm saying, Jesse?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry I yelled at you, man. I have a tendency of doing that.
Nah, thank you.
You have any other questions, man?
How do you utilize the difference between, well, let me clear it up. The difference between the CVP and the SVP, maybe I'm overthinking it. So this is session value profile, which is
Yep.
soon as you go on it, it's at that moment
Mm-hmm.
compared to the CVP. What's the difference? Because I'm kind of a little confused. I want some clarity on that.
I gotcha. I am having a little bit of difficulty myself, and this is why I'm doing the small positions. So you know what? I prefer to give you an answer of I don't 100% know myself, because I haven't had enough contact with the tool yet. I'm strictly using the COB, strictly that, because that's the order book. But I'm also going to be putting on the volume profile, the VWAP. I'm going to be using some other things that they offer here, but I want to layer in slowly. So I prefer, Jesse, to say, I don't have a full answer for you, but I can send you the videos, right? If you send me, you said you're part of the Discord. If you send me a DM, I'd be more than glad to do the research so you can get the answer. And one that I have vetted myself, and one that makes sense to me. I would prefer to say that than say, hey, because I can't give you a definitive answer. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Jesse. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? We're good here, guys. I really hope that this was valuable to your time. This has been just another level. It's been another dimension. I freaking love this tool. This tool is part of the overall program here. This is $300 a month for all the stuff that we have. We don't want you to spend that money, right? We want you to be part of what we have here. Watch the Bookmap stream, ask the questions that you need to. I will come on and, you know, if I have an alert or if I have something that I'm taking, I'll say so. I'll say so, and then I'll tell you, hey, this is where I'm setting my stop loss, yada, 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 yada.